Today I was asked to talk about improving collaboration with sell-side buyers and some of the opportunities and problems we see in the market and how we can capture their opportunity. So as a buy-side firm, some of the opportunities and gaps we see in the market are the following. So number one, we're very focused on Singapore-based companies, small and medium enterprises, and the vicinity of Singapore. They have a pretty big problem right now where a lot of the baby boomers are at a retirement age of around late 60s, early to mid 70s. And stats show anywhere between 55 to 70% of them do not have a succession plan because their children do not want to take over the business, or they don't want to live here, or they are not even here, they live abroad, or they're in a profession where they don't want to take over the manufacturing jobs or construction jobs. So the founder, the first generation that built a very profitable, very successful business, they cannot find anybody to take it over. They're usually at a size where the large cap buyout firms would not be entertaining companies that are 20 million, 30 million dollars in revenue. Although it's profitable, it's way out of their mandate. There's many of them. Number two, so what kind of exit options do they have if they can't find any buyout firms to look at their companies? They usually have to eventually shut it down, which is very, very sad because they put their life work into building the business, but they simply have no exit path. In other places, like in Japan, last 10 years, there have been a lot of activities around this space for small and medium enterprise SME buyouts and transactions. So this is the topic I would like to talk to you about today. As I said, in Japan, other parts like Australia, the succession issue have come a bit earlier, and there have been a lot of sell-side and buy-side companies that have captured this opportunity. Again, they are not really well covered on Bloomberg, just like the panel before. However, there's many of them, and I think there's a lot of opportunities around this. Also, as you know, Pine started as an early stage startup investment, a VC, and the exits in the market has been quite tough. The IPO market in this part of the world is not as deep and mature, and M&As do not really happen that often. The PE firms have had good exits. I believe buying the small and medium enterprises, consolidating them might be another way we could see a lot more exits in the market. Again, in Japan, where I'm originally from, in South Korea also, we see an uptick in the activity for change in hands for SMEs. And there have been a lot of very successful brokerage firms, buyout firms that have emerged for this trend. In Japan, there's a very large increase, even to date, of the activities. And that's something that would like to work with different players in the market, sell-side advisors, brokers, research, as well as advisors, consultants doing financial due diligence, legal due diligence, operational support, search funds. We're trying to build that ecosystem of people who can generally identify good companies for sales opportunity as well as buyout opportunities. We believe Singapore also is entering a very exciting phase. As you all know, SGX has been pretty liquid, a small, not as energetic market. We think it's going to change starting next year. MAS has been setting up the committee to look into this, have been putting money with the managers like Fullerton, Avanda, JP Morgan to inject the liquidity into the market. I think 1.1 out of 5 has been awarded. I think there will be another round of managers that are appointed to specifically back the small and medium cap companies in the market. We think listing our companies in SGX could be a viable option. There are other markets that we could list the companies, but this could be one of the changes we're excited about for next year. So you all know these in terms of the roll-ups of the same companies or bolt-on for the verticals could happen even for a lot of SMEs. I think you may ask a question, why don't they do it themselves? I think they could do it if they had time and energy to do it. But again, a lot of them are at the stage in their life where they do not want to reinvest everything that they made and invest in the latest technology or consolidate their competitor. So maybe there's room for new capital like us to come in, energize, and take a bit of a risk to consolidate other players and make a big champion in the market. We're again thinking about IPOs in SGX and other markets. as well as selling it to other funds or strategics. There's quite a lot of interest from Korean and Japanese conglomerates that we work with. They may not go and do this small deals all by themselves, but if there's a consolidator in the market that could make this into, from each company around 10 to 20 million, but consolidate and increase the revenue up to 70 to 80 million, maybe 100 million, with a strong EBITDA margin of around 10 to 15%, I think they'll be very interested in buying them. So we're thinking about how to create not only the deal sourcing channels, but also exit channels from very early on in the game. So yeah, here are some of the ways in which those of you in this room, we can work together. We would like to increase as many touch points to get access to the right deals, right information. We cannot possibly know all the industries, but those industries that you're in, you're an expert, you know who's good, you know who's not good. So we'd love to work with you on that. Also, a timeline of the information by the time it has come through many brokers. The deals, usually the information is quite stale. So we'd love to find ways to work directly with those that represent the sellers or talk to the sellers directly. And lastly, the alignment is very important in terms of the sell side advisor. We would like to only work with a handful of those that we trust. So we'd like to build those relationships early and try with a few deals and continue to work with you. So again, I think this region is ripe for this type of opportunity because they're not so big in size. I think we have room to work with multiple players, especially on the sell side for this.